we're back for our 10 best bets for college football here in week number 5. We've got a loaded slate this weekend, and of course, we found our 10 best bets for money lines and spreads for this week of college football. Now, before we get into the video, folks, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for some more college football content here on the channel. Earlier in the week, we posted our college football predictions. If you want every single game predicted this week for college football, it is on the channel. It is 7 minutes shy of 4 hours. Every single game, FBS versus FBS. Yes, Western Kentucky versus Missouri State. Every single game. It's on there. Middle Tennessee, Kennesaw. Make sure to go check that out. That is linked in the description down below. Also on Greedo Plays, we've got our NFL predictions. Our best bets are coming out tomorrow for that. Also, we've got daily MLB best bets. Greedo Plays MMA, our UFC Fight Night Perth predictions. Dominic Reyes, Carlos Ulberg in the main event from the RAC Arena. Okay, let's do it. Before we get in the video, again, make sure that subscribe button down below for more. And now let's go first of 10 best bets, kicking things off with Friday night. The only game I have tonight on our best bets comes in Tempe, Arizona. Ranked teams go to die in Tempe. That's my mindset, and we're rolling with it tonight. We've seen this time in and time out. A trap game on a Friday night in Tempe, Arizona. I don't care how good or how bad Arizona State is. This is just something that continues to happen year in and year out. And it's not like Arizona State's that bad this year. I know they had a rough outing over in Mississippi in Starkville against the Bulldogs. They lost to Mississippi State, obviously. Last week, though, they bounced back. They go on the road to Waco and they win. They are now a 2.5-point favorite at home against Texas Christian, and I get it. TCU has a very explosive offense. They're coming off a huge victory over the Southern Methodist Mustangs. I don't care. I'm taking Arizona State. I feel like TCU on the road is just going to be a lot worse in this spot. And I was thinking, oh, they went to North Carolina and won on the road. North Carolina is not a competent program right now in 2025. They're not. You know, Bill Belichick, he doesn't know how to build programs like Kurt Signetti does, okay? So I can't buy into that. TCU's victories beyond or besides North Carolina are Albany and Christian and Southern Methodist. And has Josh Hoover played lights out this season? 100% yes. Josh Hoover has been phenomenal this year for the Texas Christian Horned Frogs. Combined horns and frogs. But Arizona State at home is a difficult team to beat. Now, am I completely sold on what Arizona State has in 2025? I'm not. Okay, they're obviously not the same team as last year. And the Big 12 for me right now feels like it's just wide open. You know, I know Iowa State right now is ranked high and they may be the favorite. I don't know. Texas Tech to me is the number one team. I mean, last week you go shut down that Utah defense and you know that the Red Raiders are more than capable of scoring points as well. I mean, to me, I don't think there's a better team right now in the Big 12 than the Texas Tech Red Raiders. We'll talk about another one later on in the video that potentially you could say the best team in the conference is. But right now, to me, that is Texas Tech. It's still wide open, though. I mean, you look at Arizona State's loss to Mississippi State. Well, that doesn't really matter. It's not a Big 12 game. I mean, last year in 2024, they lost 2 games. They lost early in the season at Texas Tech. They lost at Cincinnati, yet that team still found a way to go to the Big 12 championship game and win and go to the Peach Bowl, where they came up short in double overtime against the Texas Longhorns. I mean, that's what the new format, again, allows you to do. And obviously, again, does Arizona State have Cam Scatterbo this season? No, they don't. And that obviously hurts. But you're still in a position where you can easily still get to the postseason. They still have to go to Utah next week, or in 2 weeks, which I think is going to be extremely difficult for them. But in this one spot, yeah, I'm going to take Arizona State here. I know, again, their offense has been not what we've wanted it to be this year, but you got elite weapons. I mean, Jordan Tyson at his best is one of the best receivers in college football. Raleek Brown, more than capable. And Sam Leavitt, as he, played up to expectation this season, I don't think entirely. I still think Sam Leavitt's going to be a very good football player, and he's still extremely young. Again, we forget how great he was last season. He's still very young. He's only a sophomore, right? He takes that team to the college football playoffs as a freshman. Leavitt's still getting better. Leavitt's still, again, adapting, but adjusting to college football, and he's still improving as a player as well. And sure, again, you get rid of an NFL talent in his backfield, I think Arizona State's going to be fine. Defense looked okay. No, they look good. Baylor had drives at the end of the football game, but holding that Baylor Bears offense to 24 points, that's something, man. It is. Baylor and Sawyer Robertson was throwing for 400 yards a week prior to going and playing the Arizona State Sun Devils. Arizona goes to Waco. For the most part, does shut them down. I get it. Baylor took the lead at one point. But what happens? The offense out of Arizona State continues to fight. They find a way to win the football game. And I get it, right? Texas Christian's good. Ultimately, though, Southern Methodist has not had a good season. North Carolina is not good. Who have they beaten? It's their first Big 12 game of the year. Again, SMU, all things considered, is a good win. That was a playoff team last year, just like Arizona State. Obviously, they did not win the ACC, but they were right there. That's not a bad victory. It's just so far in 2025, you haven't done much. I got to go with Arizona State here. I'm taking the Sun Devils win at home, and that's a big factor in this game for me, too. Texas Christian is ranked. They are 24th in the country. We've seen it throughout the last decade. Ranked teams come to Tempe, Arizona, and they don't come out. On top of that, it's a night game. It's a weeknight. You know Tempe's going to be fired up for this game. I'm taking Sam Levitt and the Arizona State Sun Devils to win at home and cover 2.5 points against the Texas Christian Horned Frogs. On to Saturday. So it's the one and only bet we have for Friday. On to Saturday, we kick things off with Rutgers plus 4.5 on the road. Guys, I don't think Minnesota's that good. Hate to say it, I don't think the Golden Gophers are that good this year. Just because you lose to Iowa isn't really, that's not too concerning to me for Rutgers. Guys, there are very clear tiers, I will say, in the Big Ten. The elite tier is short, but it's some really good squads. We're talking about Oregon, we're talking about Penn State, we're talking about Ohio State, we're talking about Indiana, and we're talking about USC. Right? All of those teams have the potential to be playoff teams this season. We'll see if all of them get in. I can almost guarantee you, though, I think that Ohio State, Penn State, Oregon, and Indiana are all going to get in. Yes, I think Indiana with 2 losses. I don't think they're going to lose both to Penn State and Oregon, but even if they do lose 2 games, I believe the Hoosiers are going to get in. It's just the strength of schedule, and you've already beat Illinois. More on Indiana in a little bit. But that's the clear top tier of the Big Ten. And then there's the middle tier. There's a lot of teams in this, but I'll say it's Iowa, I'll say it's Maryland, Michigan, Washington, Illinois, Michigan State, Nebraska, Rutgers. And then I'd put the bottom tier. I'd put Wisconsin, Purdue, Northwestern, obviously UCLA. I don't know if I want to put Minnesota down there, but I am for now. Okay? Minnesota to me is in that bottom tier. You've played 3 games this year, and I get it. Going cross country from up north all the way to Berkeley is difficult. You lose by 13 to Cal, and normally, if Cal didn't do what they did last week, I'd be like, all right, I'll excuse it. California last week lost by 35 points on the road to San Diego State. Huh? Minnesota now, that week 1 victory over Buffalo, that doesn't look that good anymore. You barely get by Buffalo. You beat them by 13 points. Buffalo last week lost to the Troy Trojans. Buffalo 2 weeks ago beat the Kent State Golden Flashes, the worst team in college football, by 3 points. I think it's time to reevaluate, and this is what I've done. I've reevaluated Minnesota this season. You take away an NFL quarterback, and sure, backup quarterback, but Max Brosmer is an NFL talent, right? FCS transfer from New Hampshire, goes to Minnesota. He's in the NFL now. He's with the Minnesota Vikings. You replace him with Drake Lindsay, who is good, but he's no Max Brosmer. He's no Max Brosmer. He's nowhere near that level. There's a reason Lindsay obviously was a true freshman backing up Brosmer last year. I don't buy it. I don't buy it with Minnesota right now. They can win this game and we can still cover. I think Rutgers probably wins outright because, guys, the Rutgers offense is really good. It is impressive playing Iowa and scoring 21 points in the first half against that team. Who does that to Iowa? Who does it? Well, Indiana will today. But that's neither here or there. I think Ethan Kalamenkas, with the experience he has, is good enough. I think it is. I'm not putting too much into the fact that the game's at Minnesota. I don't care about that home field advantage. I don't. Guys, I'm not sold on Minnesota right now. You barely get by Buffalo, which in hindsight sound horrible, and you go to California, and you get beat up in the second half by the Cal Golden Bears. A same Cal team that just lost to the Mountain West San Diego State. I mean, get out of here. Their other victory is Northwestern State. Don't care. 4 points is too many. 4.5 points is too many. Again, I can see a world where Minnesota wins the football game by 3 points. I can see a world where they can win it by 4. Odds on, are they going to win the game by 5 or 6? Probably not. Are they going to win it by a touchdown? Probably not. There you go. I don't think Minnesota wins it by more than 4 points. I think there is a very good chance Rutgers finds a way to win this game just outright. Look at the way their offense played last week. If you're able to score on Iowa, you should be able to score on Minnesota as well. And I'm not even wowed about the Minnesota offense right now. Drake Lindsay, to me, doesn't move the needle. Your run game is nothing to write home about. Your receiving core is not over the top. Of course, they've had great receivers in the past at the University of Minnesota. You don't have to go too far when they had Rashad Bateman and Tyler Johnson on this team. Oh, by the way, Ethan Kalimakas, revenge game. At Minnesota for the first time since he left. That's a big deal. I'm taking the Rutgers Scarlet Knights. Kalimakas has played well this season, and he's going to play well in his return to Minnesota. I'm taking Kalimakas and the Rutgers Scarlet Knights to go to Minnesota and cover 4.5 points against the Golden Gophers. Next up, we go to our third best bet of the video. We go to plus 6.5 for the UCF Knights on the road in Manhattan, Kansas against the K-State Wildcats. Absolutely sign me up for this. Absolutely. You're telling me K-State's going to blow a team out that win by more than 6 points? Hell no. Guys, UCF should probably win the football game. I'm not going to go that far. They will go into K-State and cover here. Taven Jackson's played good football so far in 2025. Is he the best pure passer? No. He's a dual threat guy that's going to attack you from all different angles. Former Indiana Hoosier and Taven Jackson obviously got pushed out when Brendan Sorbsy really won the job over him, and then in came obviously Curtis Rourke. Jackson has found his starting role in the Big 12 just like Brendan Sorbsy has at Cincinnati. Here is Taven Jackson at Central Florida. They're 3-0 this year. Was week 1 disappointing for the UCF Knights? It was. You win by 7 points against Jacksonville State, and you were in trouble against Daquan Finn and the Gamecocks. Well, Daquan Finn wasn't the one doing the damage, but it's okay. Not Daquan Finn, my goodness. That's my apologies. Gavin Wimsatt. That's horrible. Daquan Finn's at Miami of Ohio. Trust me, I know what I'm talking about. Both guys are struggling this season, I will say that, right? Both guys struggle to throw the football. Anyways, Wimsatt and Jack State doesn't really do much scoring. They're a run-heavy attack, and that's a low-scoring game. UCF wins by 7 points. Okay, UCF last week beats North Carolina, and they beat him by 25. And I get it. I just harped on Belichick at the beginning of the video. I will be the first to tell you I do not believe in the Tar Heels, and I haven't believed in the Tar Heels since I saw that week 1 against Texas Christian. Okay? When I saw that, I was out. I was completely out on Bill Belichick's team. Beating anybody, though, in the ACC by 25 points is a big deal. Obviously, UCF, a Big 12 squad. They're demanding respect. Scott Frost is demanding respect, and I'm going to give them the respect this week. I think they go into K-State and play competitive football. However, this isn't entirely about Central Florida. With all due respect, this is not about Central Florida, or UCF, as Scott Frost wants you to call them. This is about the Kansas State Wildcats. It is. I mean, how can I expect you to, A, just win a game, B, cover and win by 7 points when you're 1-3, you lose in Ireland week 1? I get it, that's difficult. Nobody wants to go to Ireland now and play. Aaron Rodgers is going to do it this weekend. But you go to Ireland, you lose by 3 points to Iowa State. Weird game. Weird vibes in that one. There's no yard markers. It's you can barely see him, but whatever. You come back home and you play the North Dakota Fighting Hawks. You win the game by 3 points at home. It's not basketball. Trayson Eaglestaff is not on the court. You win it by 3 points. You come back, you play Army, you lose by 3 points to the Army Black Knights. Guys, did anybody see what happened to Army last night? With all due respect, Army got blown out on the road against East Carolina. East Carolina is a good football team. They are. Caden Hauser's slinging it in the American Conference. Army went to K-State and won. And Army went to East Carolina and got blown out. It shows you where Kansas State's really at. And then Kansas State goes to Arizona last week. It was one of our best bets. Arizona winning at home, automatic. Noah Fafita and the guys win. They scored 23 points. They win at 23-17. Where does K-State struggle the most, though, in that game? They can't move the ball, and they can't score. I still think Avery Johnson's a capable quarterback. I think Avery Johnson's a good quarterback in the Big 12. Avery Johnson throws for 88 yards last week for Kansas State. 88. They don't move the ball. Yes, they had a 75-yard rushing touchdown to come out of the second half, and that got them on the board. Oh, they're moving the football now. They still can't throw the ball. Avery Johnson does not have a good offensive line. It is trouble at Kansas State. I'm not telling you UCF's going to outright win. I think they're going to. But to expect Kansas State to A, win the game, and beyond that, B, cover and win by 7? Am I missing something here? I get it, the game's at Kansas State. What have they done this year at Kansas State? They beat UND by 3 points, and they lost to Army by 3 points. Is Central Florida unproven? They are. Because, again, like I said earlier, can't really get much out of a North Carolina victory. We don't know how good the Tar Heels are. I don't think they're that good. I don't care. UCF can put points on the board. Do they have RJ Harvey anymore? No. I still think they go to Kansas State and cover. Give me 6.5 points on the road for the UCF Knights at K-State against the Wildcats. Next up, we move on to our 4th best bet of the video. Who shares? Give me Indiana. I mean, this is automatic, is it not? Why did they put this damn thing on Peacock? Are we serious? Give me -7 for Indiana, -135. I am seeing this range from anywhere from -135 to -145. I don't care. Give me Indiana. I just talked about how impressive it was for Rutgers to play Iowa and put up 28 points in a loss. Wait until you see what Indiana does this week at Iowa. It won't be a competition. Indiana's defense shut down a good Illinois offense to 10 points. That's a good offense at Illinois. 10 points. You got guys there. And, oh, by the way, Indiana scored 63. Fernando Mendoza is winning the Heisman Trophy. Fernando Mendoza will be the #1 overall pick in the NFL draft. Maybe not. The Saints will probably pick Newsmer because, Louisiana, whatever. Mendoza's winning the Heisman this season. And you have an absolutely loaded receiving core. There are too many weapons for Iowa to deal with this week. I'm talking about Mendoza, who's the best quarterback in college football. I love me some Carson Beck. Fernando Mendoza's #1, and he's only a junior, by the way. The running back core. Sucks BB's out for the year. It's brutal. You still have Kalen Black, you still have Roman Hemby, and Kobe Martin is around too. But I'm big on Roman Hemby, and Kalen Black's played some really good football this year too. The receiving core. Omar Cooper, Elijah Surratt, who might be the best receiver in college football right now that nobody talks about. Oh, Ryan Williams. Oh, Jeremiah Smith. Watch Elijah Surratt. And then EJ Williams too. It's weapons upon weapons upon weapons. They are loaded this season. They're now ranked 11th in the country. I mean, Indiana last week pulls off the biggest margin of victory, against a top 10 ranked team in the history of college football. For a team that's outside of the top 10. 53 points in Bloomington. Kurt Cignetti doesn't just beat ranked teams, he beats the shit out of them. It's what he does. Indiana's 4-0. Sure, they took the SEC style of scheduling to start the season. Old Dominion, Kennesaw State, Indiana State. Didn't matter. You roll into week 1. Week 1 of Big Ten play, you win it by 53 points. I'm not concerned in the slightest about Indiana playing Iowa here. Guys, Iowa's not going to really score. Indiana's defense is very good. I mean, again, you hold Illinois to 10 points. How's Iowa going to score? Their offense is horrible. And oh, by the way, their lead running back is out. Patterson's out this game. Now, I know technically, I believe Xavier Williams gets about the same amount of snaps, I think, and he's a freshman. Jazeem Patterson, he's a #1. He's out. And that makes it all the more difficult for Iowa to get the ball moving this week. I mean, you're going to rely on the arm of Mark Gronowski. I'd like to see you try. I would. I'd like to see you try. Indiana is going to punish Iowa this week. They are going to Ames, and they are putting it on Iowa this week. Did I say Ames? Iowa City. My goodness. Iowa State's Ames. They're going to Iowa City, and they're putting it on this team. Iowa's not going to be able to cover because they're not going to be able to score. The max amount of points Iowa puts on Indiana this week is 10. I'll give them 14. No, I'll be generous. I'll give them 17. 17 points. We need Indiana to score 25. Damn sure they will. Indiana's getting in the 30s. I think they're going to score 38-ish. Do we think Iowa really scores 30 points at home? Hell no, that's not what they do. Oh, they scored 38 last week. You're playing Rutgers. And big kickoff returner, obviously, early in that game. They've got an elite kick return guy / punt return guy. Yeah, Indiana's got a kicker who boots it out the back of the end zone every kick. Not going to get your chance. Okay. This isn't the NFL where the ball automatically gets put on the 35-40 yard line after a touchback either. Okay. Give me the Hoosiers. Indiana goes into Iowa. They dominate. Best team in college football. It's a damn travesty they're ranked 11th. What are you going to say now about this team? Last year, they couldn't beat a ranked team. They didn't have a ranked opponent on their schedule. They beat number 9 by 53 points. That alone puts them in the playoffs this season as long as they can win 10 games. They will. Watch out. In Eugene in 2 weeks, the Hoosiers are coming. Just you wait. And at Penn State, just you wait. On to our 5th best bet of the video. We go to the Southeastern Conference. Lots on the line in this game, right? This is bigger than football. This is bigger than Louisiana State versus Ole Miss. I mean, this is Lane Kiffin, going up against his daughter's boyfriend. I mean, this is everything, right? Obviously, that dropped at the beginning of the week, and Lane Kiffin, I'm sure he was salivating over the fact that he's back on the news headlines. And actually, I don't dislike Lane Kiffin at all. I find him hilarious. I'm just saying, I'm sure Lane was pumped that was a big media story this week. Anyways, I'm taking LSU. I gotta go with Louisiana State here, guys. Ole Miss in the big game to me, I don't buy it. I just don't. I've seen this before, and I'm not falling into it. I am not going to dispute the fact that Ole Miss is a good team. They are a good team. When's the last time Ole Miss has won a really big football game? I'm serious. They've had elite quarterback play. You had Matt Corral, you had Jackson Dart, and now is Trinidad Chambliss that next guy? I don't know. When is the last time Ole Miss beat a ranked team in a big spot like this? And I'm just not talking about like a number 22 in the country. When have they beaten a very good team? I think it's the LSU game in 23. It'd have to be. LSU now is better than LSU in 2023. And I know different personnel, right? Ole Miss had Jackson Dart and Quinton Judkins. And I know what you're thinking. Oh, well, LSU had the Heisman that year. They had Jaden Daniels. They did. They had Brian Thomas. Okay, they had Malik Neighbors too. Okay, yeah, I don't know if I can say they're a better team now. Their defense is a lot better, though. I will say that. Their defense is so much better now. Offensively, okay, I don't know if Nussmer and the guys they have right now are better than what that LSU team had. And they lost 49-55 that year at Oxford. Also, by the way, Ole Miss is not nearly as good as they were then, too, though, right? I mean, those two teams were loaded. The SEC was loaded in 23. That was the last year of peak and, very good and very elite Southeastern football. I will say this, though. This is a fact. LSU's defense this year is miles ahead of where it was in 2023. I mean, there's a reason, right? Jaden Daniels won the Heisman with 3 losses? Wasn't really his fault. His team just couldn't remain competitive, or they just couldn't stay into shootouts every game. It's hard when your defense is giving up touchdowns every single time they're on the field. Anyways, I'm taking Louisiana State here because, again, Ole Miss, to me, never wins the big game. And I know they did it against LSU 2 years ago. They were given big games last year. What happened? You had Jackson Dart, who was a first-round quarterback. You play Louisiana State on the road, you lose. Sure, overtime game, but you lose. I guess they beat Georgia. They did beat Georgia. I got to give them credit. I forgot they beat Georgia. Whatever. That kind of disproves my point a little bit. But hear me out here. I'm still taking Louisiana State. Their defense is just too good. Okay? I completely forgot about the Georgia game last year. Well, it's because this is why Ole Miss next week played Florida and lost. Like, they put themselves in a position, you're going to the playoffs, and maybe I should just go with the narrative Ole Miss chokes every year, because that's what they do. I mean, they were 8-2 going into the Florida game. If they had just won out, they would have gotten in, because they beat Georgia, and they lost on the road to the Gators. Ugh. And then Kiffin is complaining that his team's not in at 9-3. Like, dude, maybe if you go beat Florida, you're in. Anyways. Again, I don't dislike Lane Kiffin at all. I really don't. I got to go with Louisiana State, though. Garrett Nussmer is a top 5 quarterback in college football. I know the offense hasn't really showcased that they're elite recently. They'll step up for this game, though, trust me. I mean, this is just one of these games where it's like, all right, LSU's team, they not just show out, they show up this week. And they firmly establish themselves as, okay, that's Louisiana State football. The big games they've played so far this year, they go to Clemson, they win by 7 points. They play Florida at home, they beat them. And yes, did the offense struggle in both of those games? Sure. What happened, though? They found ways to win. I mean, it doesn't matter. I mean, that is the only stat that matters at the end of the football game. And Brian Kelly said it himself, essentially, after the Florida game. We went 1 for 14 on third downs. That was not the real stat, but it doesn't matter. We won the football game. That's the mindset. That's the attitude Louisiana State has. They don't care if it's pretty. They'll find a way. They will. Against Trinidad Chambliss, who I believe has to be the number 1 quarterback now at Ole Miss. He is a former D2 quarterback. Austin Simmons got injured / benched. That's fine. Chambliss is better. I'm still going with Louisiana State, though. They find ways to win big games. We saw that against Clemson. I believe in Louisiana State. I don't believe in Ole Miss. At the end of the day, you're still starting Trinidad Chambliss, who is a Division II quarterback, who, again, is playing up to an SEC level. But the all-around roster around him, though, isn't as good. I mean, I got to go with Louisiana State. This is a team that is stacked with talent on defense, on offense. I know, again, the Clemson win doesn't look as good as it did in week 1. I don't care. I'm taking the LSU Tigers to go to Oxford and beat the Ole Miss Rebels. We're taking LSU money line at plus 100 to beat Ole Miss. Next up, we go to our 6th best bet of the video. Let's go to Happy Valley. The game of the week. Beaver Stadium, Penn State versus Oregon. I'm taking the 3.5 with Oregon. I think Oregon's better than Penn State. I'll say that straight up right now. I think they're better than Penn State. I get it. The game's in Pennsylvania. I understand that. To me, when I compare the two squads, I believe Oregon's better. And I understand, again, Penn State has looked great this season. They've got the talent, Drew Aller and whatnot, right? You've got a loaded run game as well. I'm still going with Oregon. I'm still going with Oregon to find a way to get it done. I mean, when I approach this as an Indiana guy, right, I know that Indiana's going to play both these squads. I'm more concerned about the Oregon game. I am. I get it. Oh, Penn State game, it's probably going to be a whiteout. It's going to be a, hostile environment. The game I'm concerned about more, though, is Oregon. And in all fairness, right, I'm less concerned about Penn State because Penn State's going to be coming off a game at the Shoe, and I think Indiana's going to be able to beat them coming off of the Shoe game, or not the Shoe game, but obviously at Ohio State. That's neither here or there. I'm going with the Ducks this week because Penn State they haven't played anybody yet. And you can make that case about any team in the country. Hell, you could have made that case about Indiana. Oregon, though, legitimately looks like the best team in college football. They look like one of them. I mean, it has been a dominant attack on offense every game. Dante Moore has stepped up to the plate, right? There were some question marks around that guy. The only big games he's ever played was at UCLA. He has shown up to Oregon, and he's been more than fine. Last week, I get it's the Beavs. They get Oregon State in Eugene, and they beat them by 34 points. Dante Moore throws for over 300 yards. The offense looks electric. The defense looks great. I get it. Oklahoma State is horrible. They fired Mike Grundy. That program's in shambles. I get that. Beating anybody by 66 points in the Power 4 is a big deal. I don't care. Even if it's Oklahoma State, even if it is VTech, one of those horrible teams, beating them by 66, that's an accomplishment. Everyone on Oregon's schedule they beat. Don't forget, this was an undefeated team last year in the regular season. Sure, is Dylan Gabriel still around? No. They went 13-0 last year in the regular season. Their biggest road test, it was probably Michigan, I would say. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, they didn't really have a tougher road test, so I get it. This is a much more difficult road challenge for Dan Lanning and the guys. But they're going to walk into Penn State and they're going to win. I believe Penn State's overrated. And I did say that for majority of the year last year. And hey, by the way, what happened in the Big Ten title game last year? Different rosters, I get it. Gabriel's not around anymore. Tyler Warren's not around for Penn State anymore. But Oregon won that game by 8 points in Indianapolis. It's a different team, I get it. Dylan Gabriel is one of the most credentialed and obviously a record-breaking college football quarterback. But still, who won that game last year? An Oregon season obviously was ended in the Rose Bowl against Ohio State. That was an unfortunate game. Ohio State got them in the rematch. It is what it is. I got to go with Oregon in this game, though, against Penn State. Guys, I'm not sold on the Nittany Lions. I wasn't last year. I'm still not this year. I think Drew Aller's good. But even when you look at Penn State's run last year, okay, you lose 2 games in the regular season. One of them is the Big Ten title game. So you lose to Oregon, Ohio State, sure. My thing always with Penn State was last year, and again, different talent, sure, but Abdul Carter's gone, and obviously Aller's still there. Allen's still at your backfield. Singleton's still there as well. But my thing with Penn State was last year, they beat the same amount of ranked opponents Indiana did. Indiana beat Nebraska, who was ranked 25th. Penn State beat Illinois, who's ranked 20th when they beat them. They took USC to overtime. They won. They beat Minnesota by 1 point. And you lose 2 games. Sure, you got into the playoffs and you beat SMU. You beat Boise State. If Indiana got those 2 teams, they beat them 2 in the playoffs, especially SMU at home. And if you get Boise at a neutral site, you probably beat them too. And then you lose a close game to Notre Dame. Sure, I'll give them credit. They played a competitive game against the Irish. My point with Penn State being is they are still kind of, bouncing off that year last year. And that's kind of where they're ranking so high. Guys, is this team better than Indiana right now? They're not. They haven't proven it yet. They've beaten Nevada. They beat FIU by 30 points. And you beat Villanova. It's not basketball, so don't care. It's not Ace Baldwin and Katie Nixon on the court. Dixon. Eric. I'm out of the college basketball loop right now. Eric Dixon. My goodness, I've lost it on college basketball. I need to get back in the mindset for that. Anyways, I'm going with Oregon here. I think they are the better squad. I think the talent's going to go over to the road here. And I think if this is a neutral site game, I think Oregon's a big favorite. I think the only reason that this game is so close in the odds is because it's at Penn State. Eric Dixon's the name I'm looking for from Villanova. I should know that he's on the Lakers now. I don't know why I was thinking KD Dixon. Eric Dixon. Went the leading scorer in college basketball last season. Anyways, I'm going with the Oregon Ducks to win the game on the road at Happy Valley. They will beat Penn State. They will get it done. But again, we don't even need them to win. We need them to cover 3.5 points. They'll get it done for us. Give me Oregon. Next up, we move on to another game, another huge game at the same hour. Let's go to the South. Georgia, Alabama. Am I sold on the Georgia Bulldogs in 2025? I am not. I think they're good. Do I think they're great? No. You know who I'm even less sold on? The Alabama Crimson Tide. This may be my favorite bet of the... No, my next bet's my favorite bet of the week. It's right there. I don't see a world where Georgia loses to Alabama. I just don't. Games in Athens. I know Georgia, they struggled against Austin, PA. You can throw that all out the damn window after their victory at Neyland Stadium. You can throw it out. Walk into Knoxville. They beat Tennessee. I've been a critic of Gunnar Stockton. Gunnar Stockton wins them that football game. Well, Tennessee's kicker did, but Gunnar Stockton plays a phenomenal football game, and Georgia walks into Tennessee, and they come out with a victory. Got to give them credit for that. They will now walk in, or they get a home game against Alabama. Alabama's not going to Athens and beating them. Nick Saban's Alabama? Maybe. Nothing against Kalen DeBoer, but Kalen DeBoer's Alabama is not going to Georgia and winning. They just don't have it. They don't have it. That's just what this new Alabama doesn't have. I think Ty Simpson's a phenomenal player. I think he is. I think he's a good player. I think by his senior year, I think we're going to be looking at Ty Simpson as one of the better quarterbacks in college football next year. I really think so. I think he is a good quarterback in 2025. I think in 2026, Ty Simpson's going to be regarded as a top 5-ish, top 10 definitely quarterback in college football. I don't think Ty Simpson's alone is enough for Alabama to beat Georgia this week. Georgia is a good defense who they got shredded 2 weeks ago against Tennessee. I understand that. We can't underestimate how good the Volunteers offense is. It's great. Joey Aguilar has adapted to Southeastern football perfectly. Tennessee's offense has always been a pain in the ass to deal with. The no huddle, the tempo, it's tough. Does Alabama have that? Is Alabama going to push the buttons on Georgia? No, they're not. Georgia's going to bully Alabama on the front line. Georgia's going to get to Ty Simpson, and it's going to be a difficult night. It's also a difficult night when you're on the road in Athens, Florida. Guys, or Athens, Georgia. Guys, the one road game Alabama's played all year long, you go to Tallahassee, you go to FSU, and you lose by 14 points. Week number 1. That's the game that, started all the questions about DeBoer and what he's running here at Alabama. That's a problem. Last year, Alabama, their 3 losses were all on the road. Now, I don't know how they went to Baton Rouge and won. That's still a confusing one to me. I was at an Oregon game when that game was happening, and it was very weird. Kept checking the score. Why is Alabama winning by 30 points? Anyways, Alabama, they played 5 road games last year. They lost 3 of them. They went to Wisconsin and won, doesn't count. You beat LSU, whatever, miracle. They went to Vandy and lost. They went to Tennessee and lost. They went to Oklahoma and lost. And I know what you're saying. Oh, well, and they did lose to Michigan as well in the Rely Quest Bowl. Well, that's last year. Jalen Milroe is the quarterback. Oh, it's Ty Simpson now. Kalen DeBoer is still the head coach. The quarterback difference doesn't really matter to me. It's still a scheme thing. It's a coaching thing. The entire staff's still there. It's a mindset thing. And there's a lot of turnover from last year for Alabama. They proved last year they're just not that good of a road team. They lost over half of their road games last year in the SEC. What did they do to start the year this year? You could disprove that narrative wrong. You're a top 10 team to start the year. You walk into Tallahassee, Florida against an FSU team that had an all-time horrible 2024, and you lose by 2 scores. So if you're losing by 14 in Tallahassee, why would I be convinced that you're going to go out there and beat Georgia? We're going to take the 2.5 points because I'm not going to play the money line here, and if Georgia wins, they're probably winning by more than 2. So, field goal at the very least. Why should I believe in Alabama right now? Ty Simpson, he had an almost perfect game against Wisconsin. That's the Wisconsin Badgers on a backup quarterback. Danny O'Neal. Okay. I know last year Bama beat Georgia. Games in Tuscaloosa, a whole other story. I mean, that's the simplest way I can put it. Game was in Alabama. Georgia almost came back. Carson Beck almost willed that team back. They did not come back, obviously, because Ryan Williams had the big 80-yard touchdown from Jalen Milroe. It's a different season. Georgia's better. Bama's worse. I can't say Georgia's better. They got worse at the quarterback position. I think Gunner's playing well, though. I think they'd be much better with Beck. That's neither here or there. I got to go with the Georgia Bulldogs at home, minus 2.5. This is automatic to me, man. I mean, this is one of the best bets that this is not number 1. Maybe it is. The next one's close for me. This is one of the best possible bets I can give you this week. Got to go with the Georgia Bulldogs, though, at home to cover 2.5 points against the Alabama Crimson Tide. This is automatic for Georgia. Next up, we go to back in the South, I should say. Southern Miss at home is hosting Jack State. I guess this game's actually earlier than the last two I just did, but it's fine, whatever. Southern Miss and Jacksonville State. Here we go. I'm going with Southern Miss again. Okay. We're going to buy a couple points here. Line's at 4. We're going to buy 1 point. We're going to take it to minus 3. So we get minus 130 for minus 3, or obviously to cover 3 points for Southern Miss at home against Jacksonville State. So I touched up a little bit about Jacksonville State, a team that I was very high on coming into the season. I'm no longer high on Jacksonville State. It's still a non-con game. I think Jack State can be very successful in the CUSA. They're 1-0 in the CUSA this year with a victory over Liberty. Shout out to, again, Jack State getting us on the best bets for that. I'm going to go with Southern Miss at home. I still believe in Southern Miss a lot this year. It's a non-con game. I think Southern Miss is going to be very good in the Sun Belt this year, and I think Jack State, like last year, is going to be very good in the Conference USA. However, I'm going to take the Golden Eagles in this spot here. They're at home. And I think, and this is going to be a theme, I believe, for Jacksonville State this season. If you can get a lead on them, and if you can force them to play from behind, they are not what they are, obviously, when they have a lead. When they have a lead, dealing with Gavin Wimsatt, his ability to run the football, and oh, by the way, they have a very good, and I mean very good lead back as well in Cam Cook, who is from Texas Christian. He's got 90 carries this year for 540 yards. I mean, he's coming off some dominant performances this year, back-to-back-to-back 100-yard games for Cam Cook. And you have that on top of, we have to deal with Gavin Wimsatt, who can kind of throw, but also he can be a pain in our ass running the football too. That's a difficult formula to try to stop. However, if you have a lead on this team, it does become a lot more predictable, and it becomes a lot easier. Hell, look at Jack State's game just a couple weeks ago at Georgia Southern. Georgia Southern, for the most part, is in control of that game. Jack State is playing from behind, for the most part, in that football game. Whether it be by only 3 points or 7 points, Jack State is always trailing Georgia Southern. And for the most part, I know Jack State took the lead in the third quarter, but Jack State has to play a perfect game to come back from behind. They took the lead in the third, and then Georgia Southern scored 10 unanswered in the fourth quarter to win the game by 7 points. It was a back-and-forth competitive football game. Georgia Southern scored with 6 minutes left, and they won the football game, their first of the season. But again, Jack State has to play almost perfect when they are losing. That's just kind of how the team is for me. You know, they're a good team. Are they a great team? I don't know. I think Gavin Wimsatt is going to continue to be very nasty at the G5. Obviously, the former Rutgers quarterback before they got Kalamankis. But Southern Miss is a good team. I don't care. Last week they lost to La Tech. La Tech's going to give teams problems this year in the CUSA. They are much improved from last year. The Bulldogs are, in my opinion, really good. I didn't think they were going to be really good. I will give them credit now after that Southern Miss victory. They shut down Braylon Braxton, who might be, I don't know if he's the best quarterback in the Sun Belt. He might be, though. I mean, the year Braylon Braxton had last year for Marshall was incredible. I think he's going to have a really good year and continue to have a good year this year at Southern Miss. And I know Braxton throws for 400 yards, but the ability for La Tech to turn over Southern Miss in that football game is huge, and ultimately it's what propels them to victory. I got to go at Southern Miss this week, though. Again, last week was a tough road game. It is. Guys, going on the road to La Tech, who's going to play great defense this year, is going to shut you down. That's going to be difficult, and it's going to be difficult all year long. I'm looking at the Southern Miss team, though, and I see potential. I see a lot of potential in the past game. Obviously, we know how good this team was last year. Not at Southern Miss, but at Marshall. Obviously, they got all their guys to come over from Marshall. It's a good team. They know, again, they've played in the Sun Belt before with each other, and I know, again, this is a game against the CUSA's Jack State. But the way I'm envisioning this football game and the way I see it playing out right now, if Southern Miss can just get out ahead early, you're going to put a lot of pressure on Jack State. Because, again, the way they play, you have to remain perfect. They run the ball a shit ton. Yeah, Cam Cook's a great back. Gavin Wimsatt can run it. You're not, very rarely, and they had a couple big plays over the top against Georgia Southern, but those are few and far in between. Very rarely is Jack State going to burn you over the top, and very rarely is Jack State going to hit a big home run play. Their home run plays, for the most part, are on the ground, and if you're able to stifle that run game, you're in a good spot. On top of that, if Southern Miss takes an early lead, it's going to be trouble for Jack State. Southern Miss didn't really get burned on the ground last week. It was the turnovers, it was field positioning, and it was timely first downs through the air last week that won the La Tech Bulldogs the game against Southern Miss. I think they'll be more than fine this week at home against Jacksonville State. Oh, by the way, Southern Miss is a 3-point favorite at home. They should cover that. I'm going with the Golden Eagles, one of the best teams in the Sun Belt here in 2025, to cover 3 points at home against the Jack State Gamecocks. Next up, let's go to Palo Alto, California for the Stanford Cardinal versus the San Jose State Spartans. It is the Bill Walsh Classic from Stanford, and this is a no-brainer. I mean, I hate to be anticlimactic here. This may be my favorite bet of the video. I thought this was coming up after the Georgia one. I scrambled that and the Southern Miss game. This might be the best bet of the week, guys. I have been very critical of the Stanford Cardinal in 2025. There is no way, no how they are not beating the ever-living hell out of San Jose State. I don't know why the odds are this close. This line opened at 1.5 to start the week. It's now at 2.5. I'm seeing 3. Play 2.5. I think 3 is playable too. I don't know how they don't beat the hell out of San Jose State. I don't know how. I pondered this throughout the week. It doesn't make sense to me. You can blindly look at Stanford and say they're 1-3. You can. You can blindly look at that. Look how San Jose State's playing this year. And, they lost to Texas. They beat Idaho. They beat FCS Idaho by 3 points. They probably should have lost that game. And shout out to Joshua Wood, former Fresno State Bulldog, played that game very well. Okay, and Joshua Wood's a good quarterback in the FCS and in the Big Sky. But you beat Idaho by 3 points. Oh, by the way, week 1, you lose to Central Michigan at home. Sent the Chippewas, who aren't even that great. I don't know. We'll see what they do against East Michigan this week. They should win and should blow out Noah Kim and the Eagles, but still, you lose to Central Michigan on your own home turf, and I get it, their kicker missed 2 big field goals. Who cares? You lose. Okay, you shouldn't be in that position at home against Central Michigan anyways, especially coming off the 2024 you had. And I get it, Nick Nash is not here anymore, but you now play Stanford on the road. Last year, San Jose State beat Stanford. I get that. I don't know. I think Stanford's actually better this season. I think they are. Obviously, this is year 1 in the Andrew Luck takeover with Frank Reich here for just 1 season, which is still weird, but it's okay. Ben Gulbranson, I think he's settling into his role. Do I think he's playing well? No, I think he's playing better, though. I think after week 2, the game at Provo was difficult, but 2 weeks ago at home against Boston College, that team looks good. I know they were on the verge of getting blown out, and somehow they turned it around because BC kept getting in their own way via turnovers. Gulbranson makes all the throws they need him to do, and they're back right now. Micah Ford's playing extremely well. Micah Ford's got 330 yards in the first 4 games after being stifled in Provo for only 20. Last week against UVA, it was really difficult. They go to Virginia, and they lose to the Cavaliers 48-20. Again, Gulbranson, though, if we can take anything out of that, it's that Gulbranson's actually slinging it quite well, threw for 290 yards. So good on him. They have a decent receiving core. Bryce Farrell and Sam Roush are the 2 guys you want to look out. Roush, I think, is a very good collegiate tight end. I think if Roush played at a higher level, if he played at like a Notre Dame, if he played at a school where they just breed tight ends, I think Roush should be going fairly high in the NFL draft. I think he's that good. He just doesn't get the football because he plays for Stanford. He is their best all-around weapon. Do not get me wrong. He's a 6'5" tight end who's an absolute monster. He just doesn't get the ball enough. You would think they'd make that an emphasis. They're lucky Roush hasn't left in the portal and will not leave because he's a senior this year. San Jose State, though, is nowhere near the level of the Stanford Cardinal. Again, I have detailed Stanford's struggles this season. Their defense is going to maul the San Jose State offense. They are. It's just the talent on Stanford is better than what San Jose State has. Offensively, Stanford's offense is okay. I think they should be able to run the ball all over SJSU. I know SJSU's last year was, their whole thing last year was you can't run the ball on us, right? We are a great run-stopping team. Our pass D is questionable, but you can't run the ball on us. That's not really the case anymore, in my opinion. And I think they really struggle offensively. I mean, they don't have an identity. I think their identity right now, watching that team recently, is we're just going to give Jabari Bates the football, who has kind of taken Floyd Chalk's role of number 1 running back, I guess. Now, again, you can blindly look at Jabari Bates' stats last week and say, 11 carries, 130 yards. Really, it's, 10 carries, 50 yards with a 90-yard touchdown in there, which is awesome. But he's been running better than Floyd Chalk. Floyd Chalk, who I think's got to be a senior by now, has struggled some. You got Scudero, I believe is the name. I think that's how you pronounce their lead receiver. He's no Nick Nash, but he's solid. He's really Walker Agget's only guy, and Agget kind of just focuses in on just him. He kind of Matthew Stafford, Cooper Kupps him, kind of. I don't know. I've never been sold on Walker Agget. Does Agget look like a talent? 100%. He's like 6'4", 6'5", very tall and somewhat athletic guy, big arm. I guess he's only 6'3", looks taller than that. I guess he was taller compared to Emmett Brown. I will always be an Emmett Brown truther. It is a damn shame. I say it every time. It is a damn shame what happened. Shame what happened to Emmett Brown. The fact that he had to leave SJSU because, they just didn't like him. They wanted to get over him, even though Brown was much better. And Emmett Brown goes to Coastal Carolina. He's never going to play football again. Career-ending injury. Brutal. I got to go with Stanford here. I do not like San Jose State this season. I have not liked them since week number 1. I'm very down on them. It's a non-con game. They still haven't played a Mountain West game this season. I mean, they control their own destiny to the Mountain West Championship. I guarantee you they're going to go to Laramie and lose. Like, I can almost guarantee you that. They're just not a good offensive team this year. It's something that they shined at last year. They had the Triple Crown winner at receiver. Last year was a special season for San Jose State. I could not care less about the Spartans this season. They're just not good. Give me the Stanford Cardinal to easily handle San Jose State at home, -2.5. On to our final best bet of the video. Unfortunately, there's no night games, except for this one. So all eyes will be on the Colorado Buffaloes at home against the Brigham Young Cougars. I'm going to buy a 0.5 point. Line's at 6.5 right now. I'm going to get +7 on Colorado, and we're going to take it. Caden Salter's the starting quarterback again. I have no problems with it. Martin Luther Staub had his 2-game run. They've gone back to Salter. I just don't think BYU is that exceptionally great this season. Are they going to beat Colorado? Probably. They probably will win. There's a chance Colorado can win, but I would expect Brigham Young to get it done. We are given 7.5 points. I'm buying a full point, not a 0.5 point. We're getting 7.5 points at -130. Now we're talking. Because BYU could easily win by a touchdown. I think Colorado's competitive enough. I think they're good enough offensively to stay in the game from there, though. This is a rematch of the Alamo Bowl last year where I understand, Jake Retzlaff destroyed. BYU last year blew out Colorado, Shedeur Sanders, Travis Hunter in the Alamo Bowl. Colorado as a whole, though, I do believe they're not better than last year, but they're better in the spots that they were bad at last year. This is going to sound weird, but hold on to this, okay? Hear me out. You're not better at the quarterback position, obviously. You're not going to replace Shedeur Sanders. You're not going to replace Travis Hunter. You lose those two guys. All around, though, I think they are slightly better. Overall talent-wise, if you take away the loss of Hunter and the loss of Sanders, I think they're better this season. I think they are. Obviously, the quarterback play is going to hurt them, but you're at home against a BYU team, which this is the bigger difference, though. It's not, what did Colorado lose or what did they gain? No. I don't think BYU's as good in 2025. They're just not. And that obviously all starts with their quarterback and Jake Retzlaff. I say it all the time. Bro had premarital sex. So BYU said, can't do that here. You're suspended. Jake Retzlaff said, okay, I'm going to take my talents and I'm going to take my premarital sex over to Tulane. So I can have premarital sex all I want in Louisiana. See you later. It is what it is. Okay? Wasn't following the Book of Mormon, but it's all right. Jonathan Smith would not be happy, but it's fine. Retzlaff chases endeavors at Tulane. Bear Bachmer, new quarterback at BYU. I can't say I'm sold on Bachmer just yet. And I can't say I'm sold on Bachmer just yet. As a freshman quarterback, going on the road in his first Big 12 game and his first road Big 12 game. It's one thing going to East Carolina and winning, and is that impressive? It is. It 100% is. East Carolina last week looked great against Army, or just yesterday looked great against Army in Week 5. But it's one thing to go to ECU and win. It's a whole other thing to be on ESPN. You're the only game at the 7 o'clock hour, 10 o'clock Eastern, and you're at Folsom against Colorado. In Colorado's second Big 12 game of the year, but their home Big 12 opener. That's pressure, man. That is. It's pressure. I think Colorado's going to be decent tonight on Saturday. I think they are. I think they're going to force a tough game out of Brigham Young. I think they are going to pressure Bear Bachmer. And at the same time, I think Caden Salter and the opportunity he's been waiting for steps up. Last week, Colorado does pick up a victory, right? Staub gets benched after the poor performance at Houston. So in comes the former Liberty Flame again in Caden Salter. Caden Salter with 390 all-purpose yards, 304 through the air, 86 on the ground. Colorado beats Wyoming 37-20. Wyoming is actually a pretty good team in the Mountain West this season. Where I'm most impressed with that game, though, is how they're able to score in Wyoming. I get it. Is Wyoming a Big 12 team? No. Wyoming has got a really good defense and one of the best defenses in the G5 in the Mountain West. Colorado goes out there and puts 37 points on them. I'll take that. And I'll take it out of Caden Salter, who struggled really early adjusting to Colorado. That Week 1 game against Georgia Tech. The next game against Delaware. I'll take that improvement that we got last week. And I think they're able to build upon that, because if you're Colorado too, you got to start winning somewhere in the Big 12. You lose your first game to Houston on the road. You get BYU this week. Then you got to go to Texas Christian, then Iowa State, and then to Utah. You got to find your wins somewhere. This is one of the games where they're going to be hard-pressed to get one done. I'm taking the Colorado Buffaloes and Coach Prom at home to cover 7.5 points and potentially beat the Brigham Young Cougars. Folks, Thank y'all for watching our college football best bets, 10 of them for week number 5. If you haven't yet, though, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for more. Make sure to leave a like if you enjoyed the video. Make sure to comment if you do disagree with any of the picks. We'll be back tomorrow for our NFL best bets and NFL best player props as well. Folks, thank y'all for watching. And Mamba forever.